Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, my guest is Joe Lowery from St. Petersburg, Florida. How are you doing today, Joe?
Hey, I'm doing very well. Doing
Thanks
very
for
well.
joining us. A little bit of background. So, native of Florida?
No, not quite, not quite at all. Actually, Kansas City, Missouri, and then the West Coast,
Awesome.
and now in the beautiful Sunshine State.
Oh, yeah, Florida's great. Oh, you were on the West Coast too. So, where were you at in the West Coast?
Yeah, I did about 2 to 3 years in Phoenix. I'm about to say close to three in Phoenix.
Okay.
And all my family's in California, so it was like, bouncing over
Oh,
there. Yeah, didn't want to be close
oh,
enough to family where they can just drive over, but close enough where I could drive over.
yeah, I hear you on that. So, now I like San Diego really well, about as much as where you're at. So, I definitely think San Diego's pretty cool. Okay. So, what got you to Florida?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I actually had a good friend that we were doing this marketing summit tour with, and he was just another young guy on the tour. You kind of become these bandwagon families in a way. And it's funny because,
Yep.
again, you go to all these different cities across the United States over, oh, shoot, sometimes 20 cities in a year. And you
Oh,
start
wow.
making friends, you see each other,
Sure.
once or twice a month. And no matter where you live, it's just, you congregate there. And it
Yep.
turns out it was just one of those things. Me and him clicked. And one day we were just randomly sitting at a bar. He's like, "Have you ever been to St. Pete?" It's like, no, no, don't really. Is it what, Tampa? Is that where is that? And it
Uh-huh.
turns out, I soon all my family was asking the same question I was asking.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
right.
after a visit that I'm pretty sure I do not remember, he showed me every place around St. Pete, which was great. I was like,
Nice.
you know what? I think that'd be a lot of fun, so I took the jump. So because of him.
That's awesome. So how long have you been there?
Yeah, so roughly right now, I actually just hit my 3 year mark in April.
Ah,
So
cool. Very
starting to
cool.
become a resident.
Okay, so what do you do in St. Pete?
Yeah, so I run a digital marketing agency. So that's been fun.
Okay, so for the audience that doesn't know, what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so we do a mix of different things, ranging from helping businesses rank on Google, outrank competitors, steal away competitor traffic. We run a lot of Google ads, a lot of Facebook ads. Basically, company come to us saying, "Hey, we want to either increase traffic, which is sales and leads, or we just need to show up on Google and outrank our competitors to gain more sales and leads." So that's when they come to us, and yeah.
Awesome. That's very awesome. So how long you been doing that?
Oh man, about 5 years total. So not quite an
Five.
expert, I
Okay.
feel like sometimes because everything's always changing, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
definitely
Yeah. So what do you think about AI? I mean, you were talking about AI just a second ago. What do you think it's gonna change everything? It already
been.
starting to.
Man, I think to be transparent with you, I really think there's an opportunity for success and failure in this area, just for
Okay.
adaptation reasons. There's a lot of businesses that I think I'm going to call it the older type businesses, and I'm not even referring to brick and
Okay.
mortar. I just think there's going to
Okay.
be a lack of absorption, and then I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity where you're going to see a lot of money made, a lot of quick actions, and a lot of let's say tasks that now can be automated through AI. So you're going to see success
Yeah.
boom, and I think some people are going to get left behind very quickly.
Yeah, kind of like both sides. There'll be the positive and negatives. Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, what did you do before you became? What were you doing in Kansas City?
Yeah. So honestly, just a mix of things. I was a young kid growing up. College
Okay,
wasn't for me. I did the year of school in Springfield, Missouri, and it was fun. I
okay.
mean, just didn't click. And then finally went through an engagement that didn't work out. And so I was like, you know
Oh,
what? Family's in California. I'm like, you know what? I'm taking the jump. And yeah, I did it. The only thing I'd say that I miss is Kansas City football, which with Patrick
yeah,
Mahomes
the
and
Chiefs.
stuff, that's been
Yeah.
awesome.
Now Kansas City's a pretty awesome city. I like Kansas City really well. Okay, I have to ask because this is a Dreamcatcher podcast. So, is this something that you? What was your dream when you were a child? I always ask that question.
Yeah, I actually wanted to be a trainer at a Shamu Stadium, SeaWorld.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
really? Okay, I love
that was
that.
Yeah, and I don't ever want to get into the whole thing, is it right or wrong kind of thing. And I will say, if it wasn't for exposure to the animals, I don't think I would ever, love orcas and be obsessed with the ocean like I am today. Obviously, my company's named Media Shark. It's based off the ocean. So,
Cool.
I fell in love with orcas, and I mean, I just remember as a kid just wanting to even swim, the length of a pool just so I could see if I could, go that 30 feet that's required in the training test
Right, right.
like that. So yeah, that was just
Wow.
that was the dream.
That's an awesome dream. I love that. So, would you ever pursue that? When we talked earlier that you love scuba diving, but would
Yeah.
you ever? Where's close to SeaWorld where you're at?
It's
Is
in
there
Orlando, but yeah, that's
Orlando? Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah, there's been a lot of changes, and I say I'm very happy in my profession. I don't know if I'm quite the marine biologist type anymore.
Okay, you multitask here.
Yeah, no, don't get me
That
wrong.
would that would
Yeah,
be
one of my
really
dreams right
interesting.
now. Oh, sorry. One of my big
Go
dreams right
ahead.
now actually in November, it's every year in November, you can actually go snorkel with them in Norway. And
Oh
so
wow.
that is my bucket list. I almost booked it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then COVID hit. But yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
expensive. It's one of those things where I'll probably just do it by myself. But it's a dream.
That is a good dream. I mean, that is when did you get to, was that when you got the love of scuba diving?
Actually, no. So my dad, weirdly enough, me and him wouldn't say ever had a rough growing up. We just never didn't really connect. And so growing up, it was one of those things. He worked at the Ford plant in Claycoma, Missouri, and
Oh, okay.
family, very blue collar worker and situation. So Ford would lay off for 2 weeks in the summer, and so my parents had timeshares in Florida, and it was just one of those things
Perfect.
that just kind of clicked with me and him that we both could do. It really helped build our
Awesome.
bond together.
That is so awesome. So he scuba dives. Does the rest of your family do scuba diving?
So my sister does as well now. So yeah, so it's usually just us three always going out. So we have a really good time, and it's cool because when you go on a vacation, you just know, you're gonna go do your own thing. Whether we have our couples with us or whatever. And my dad's with the stepmom. We just all know at one point we're all gonna get together and go diving together, us three. So
So okay,
it's
so diving. How deep do you go when you dive?
I mean, from a safety standpoint, we really don't go past 80 and maybe 90 feet.
Okay.
I always tell everybody it's like it's cool to go dive deep. I mean, I've done some shipwreck dives that have been pretty deep,
Oh
well,
wow.
plus 100, areas. But again, everybody's kind of different. Some people love the deep cave dives or deep dives. Preferably,
Right.
my thing is once you get past 60, the color starts dying. So a lot of the coral reefs aren't as impressive. But every time you go diving, in my personal opinion, it's like you're walking on the moon versus snorkeling, which is kind of like looking at the moon through a telescope. So it's just a
Yeah.
different
I've
experience every time.
I've done snorkeling. Never ever done scuba diving. So talking about coral reef. Have you been down to the coral reef at Key West then?
I have, yep. I've actually snorkeled that when I didn't get a dive at the time
Okay.
because the ex I was with didn't have her certification. So as much as I
Oh.
wish I could have left her on the boat, I go dive.
You got to go back now.
Yeah, now it's all free game. But yeah, no, the some of the best diving I've done actually has been in Cozumel. They believe they have the second largest barrier reef, but
Really?
that's been awesome. Yeah.
Very, very awesome. So it sounds like you like to travel. So what are some places you've traveled that you really thought were pretty awesome?
Oh shoot, yeah. So actually, one of the ones I did just recently, well, I say last year, I went to Serbia. That was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that was definitely different. I spent some time in Germany and jumped over to Serbia, and then I spent a lot of time in Mexico just from the scuba diving standpoint.
Okay. So
So
Serbia, what why did you choose Serbia?
yeah, so had a friend that was having a wedding out there, so went out there and
Okay.
was able to
Okay.
stay out there for about a week. And it wasn't one of those things where I had any expectations of it. In fact, it probably wasn't positive expectations, but
Right, I hear you.
I'm like, this is going to be cool, and it's a once in a lifetime chance to just go over there. And I will say honestly, I was very shocked. I mean, from the history to wineries, and the U.S. dollar went really well when you got off kind of the beaten path.
Nice.
And yeah, it was really cool. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things I'd actually recommend people to go check it out if you can.
Okay,
As
so you
long as
would go
it's safe.
back then.
If it was available, sure, yeah.
Okay. So how long a flight is that? Because I mean, my wife and I went to Italy in June or July, and thought that was a long flight. How much further is
Oh,
Serbia then?
I mean, it's not crazy far in the relativity or the relative aspect of things, just for the sole purpose of I went to Germany first, so I went
Okay.
to Switzerland over the Germany standpoint, and then from Germany, I want to say it was like a 4 hour flight, something like 3 hours maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't
Okay.
bad, but I wouldn't. I mean, shoot, from direct, it's got to be long, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know we started in Denver, and Denver to Munich was over 10 hours, and then another 2.5 hours about to Naples. So
Mhm.
have you been to Italy?
I have not. That's actually a bucket list one too.
You need to go. I'm
Really?
ready. I could live there. Yeah, their food's awesome. I didn't care for their pizza too much, but the rest of the Italian food was really good. So and so beautiful. Naples,
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Oxitani, and all those places were just yeah, Amalfi. I mean, yeah, I can't say enough about it. I would be back there in a second.
I'll have to keep
So
that in mind. Yeah.
and I was so like everybody's like I thought I was ready to Italian. Everyone
Mhm.
spoke English. It's just like, oh, I guess I didn't need my app here.
Yeah, that's
Only I think only one person we ran into.
that's
So
a
we
lot
just
like
say,
Serbia was kind of like that too. I wasn't really sure, and I'm not. I don't remember the exact language. I mean, there's multiple that was spoken there,
uh-huh.
but everybody was super friendly, and I'm like, okay, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. Because you never know, especially if it's
You
first
don't.
time in a country.
And I also exchanged, to the euro, and it's like, no, we take credit cards. It's like, okay,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
just like I didn't need to, which was all. It was nice to have a little euros, but it was definitely different. But and people are so friendly. Gosh,
Yeah,
everybody's so friendly
that's the
there.
best thing too. I hate it when you
Yeah.
go somewhere and you're like disappointed in that aspect because that can change your entire vacation. It really
Oh,
can.
very much. No, we didn't run into anybody that wasn't that way. So okay. I see you said you're a Doobie Dad on your thing. So does that mean
Dobie Dad.
you're Dobie Dad? Okay.
Yep,
So does that mean you own Dobermans?
I do. Yep, I got two
Okay.
two big Dobermans. Yep.
Okay. So have you what? Why that breed?
Yeah, so honestly, it was really random. I actually got broken into when I lived in Kansas City. Me and my ex fiance,
Oh,
somebody broke in the house, and I ended up having to get in a fight with the guy over the balcony. It was a big ordeal. They kind of,
wow.
yeah, it was a lot, and you definitely get. I don't want to use the word too much PTSD. I mean, it was a lot. The guy had a gun on him, so it was quite an exchange, we'll call it. And at that day, I'm like, I'm getting a dog, and so I literally got on
Oh, I'm with you.
Craigslist, and I got this little red Doberman puppy.
Uh huh.
Didn't realize it's going to take about a year for him to even look
Oh,
anything.
really? Like, is that okay?
Yeah, and so yeah, it was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm getting a dog, and I'm getting an aggressive dog that's going to
I
help
don't
me
blame
and
you.
protect me. And then he's the biggest baby in the world. But yeah, so
They don't need to know that though.
yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, people, yeah, because they're about 120,
Yeah.
so they're big boys.
So
Um,
did you get hurt, or did you get hurt? Did they catch the guy?
I don't think they ever caught the guy. I end up or getting basically a what do you call it, a boxer fracture in my wrist or knuckle,
Wow.
just from punching in some stuff. So yeah, I wasn't.
Today's
I would
world.
say I wasn't hurt by any means. I was definitely, I'd say, definitely in shock more or anything once everything
I
kind
can
of
see
calmed down.
that.
So
Well, you kind of because I actually out of college, I lived in Omaha, and I had garden level, and they took my windows out, and you just feel violated. It's like I don't know if I want to be here again.
yeah, it definitely
And
was. I will say I'm a lot more on the security side now, no matter where I go.
I can see
So
that too. I can
mhm.
definitely so okay. So we were talking before we got started that you entrepreneurial. You think it's more, and I agree with you. Make not so much about making money, but kind of making a difference. So how are you wanting to make a difference, and how are you making a difference?
Yeah, I think there's really kind of two ways to apply that. I think, it's a spiritual game too in regards of making a
Okay,
difference. I think,
cool,
there's some blessings that come with the ability to make money in different ways. I
true,
definitely don't want to ignore how hard it is being an entrepreneur and owning a business. I think a lot of people see fast money in this, and that's where they get hung up on. And they
yeah,
also, it's like sometimes they treat it like winning a lotto, and then you hear those people are broke 2 or 3 years later. And the
yep.
statistics around owning a business just aren't great if you look at long
They
term.
are not.
No, and I think that's where I always am careful when people are like, "Oh, let's talk about being an entrepreneur." I'm like, I just want you to make sure you understand this is it's a journey and it's not and a lifestyle rather than just being a get rich quick scheme.
It
But
is.
and I
Well,
think that so going back to the question of how to make a difference and how you apply that, I think having the ability to teach and help others has been a real home run in my life. And because again,
love
when
it.
I
Awesome.
started this journey, I was reaching out, wanting to find coaches and help. And now it seems like everybody's a coach, but
True.
yeah, and I couldn't find anybody to help me with my journey, and I was fairly young. I was 27 when I started this company, and
Okay.
that being said, I was like, if I ever make this worth it and work, I'd like to be able to, host classes, coach other businesses, and I give a lot of information for free, just whether
Cool.
through YouTube or other things like that. But I also think it's the ability to donate, a lot of your time and resources to back into the community and things like that has been a real
Yes.
blessing, and, an opportunity through entrepreneurship.
No, it is. And it is people don't understand, I guess, because they haven't been part of an entrepreneurship, because it's like, so when do you work and when do you play? It's like one and the same.
Yeah.
It's like it's like Sunday Fun Day kind of throws me, because it's like these people that are saying that, it's like, why can't you can have any day be fun day and Sunday might be a work day? It's
I
just
have a
like
lot of friends that struggle with that aspect.
it's just like some of the entrepreneurs act like they're still the entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, employer employee,
Mhm.
setup, and it's like, no, you're your boss. You have a lot of bosses, but you're your boss on with that. And I just don't get that. That is one thing that triggers me. It's
Yep.
just like, nope, every day can be a fun day. Every day can be a work day,
And,
and
and that's
there's no way that you're gonna dictate that I work so many hours this way or play so many hours.
no,
So,
and
which
in
is,
fact, as a business owner, you probably even work more hours than you ever did at a normal job.
oh
Transparently.
yeah. Yeah, because you're kind of always on. And so, like, I tell my wife, it's like, I think that's going to be good, you know. And then all of a sudden, my brain starts working on that, and I,
Yep.
I love it. I mean, I was not well. I did not thrive in the employer-employee thing.
Yep.
Um, I did restaurant management, and we were doing like 100-hour weeks down in Dallas, and it's just like, no, there is no way. So, but no, I think a lot of people they don't get, like I said before, because they don't know what it takes. They don't have the discipline, I guess. But I tell them they have the discipline if they're going to a job. They have the discipline, but it's a different discipline. And I
Yep.
don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's, instead of being told what to do every day with having set goals and set expectations, as an
Yep.
entrepreneur, that's the freedom aspect, making sure you reel yourself in, is that you have to be even more, scheduled, more on task, more, let's say pointed to which direction you want to go, than walking
You
into an
do.
office, sitting down, knowing that you got to make X calls to get X, results, or, follow a certain type of layout or plan.
Yeah. You got to do
So,
the reps. You got to do all that, and you just to get that done because it's all on you.
yeah.
It is definitely all on you, and people think you do. They do think you get rich quickly, and
Mhm.
some people do. But like you were talking, winning the lottery. If you don't know how to keep your money with the lottery, you're never going to be able to keep your money when you're doing this. You need to
Yeah.
have all the mindset to be able to keep that, invest, and all
Mhm.
that. And it's definitely a process. It's been a long process, and
Yeah.
there's definitely ups and downs, as you I'm sure know.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, that's the thing too.
so
Is like I'll talk to businesses all the time, and especially if I'm coaching or I'm involved in their, because really I'll get involved in their marketing plan. I'll be breaking down their
okay,
analytics, how they're spending stuff, and what they're diving into, and how they plan on growing. And so I'm always looking at that kind of thing, and I'm thinking like how what gets measured gets managed, and a lot of
true.
times, especially in entrepreneurship and just in general life, if you're not watching what you're doing, you're definitely not
Yep.
maintaining and managing it. And so there's a
No.
lot
True.
of processes that take place in that area, especially when it comes to owning your business.
Oh yes, definitely. So okay, if somebody wanted to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so a lot of times they just reach out on our website, which is gomediashark.com. And then
Okay,
actually a lot of times people just reach out to me directly on Instagram. That usually just, you're laying on the couch and you're just looking at, random stuff.
that works.
Yeah, that marketing guy is my Instagram, so you can shoot me a
I
message there.
like that. I think that's cool. So okay, 5 years down the line, where would you like to where your would your business to be at?
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know. That's the crazy part
Okay,
about this is I'd like to use MediaShark to fund a lot of opportunities. I'm building an app right now that I can't get into much. Hopefully, I'll be able to in 6 months.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
and honestly, I'd like to get into more on that aspect of helping businesses really scale. I think there's a huge need for this, especially bringing in the AI aspect. There's going to be a lot of
yeah.
application, and I think there's a lot of, excuse my language here, there's going to be a lot of bullshit, or I call them 24-year-old marriage coaches that are coming in and saying, "Hey, I can come save your day. You got to pay X amount of money." And these businesses,
Yeah,
you have funds to utilize for your business. So uh,
yeah.
spending a couple grand may not seem like a lot, or even sometimes $10,000. But when you're looking at where you could put that else to, help you scale, there's going to be
Yeah.
opportunity for a lot of people to come in and play that Wolf of Wall Street role. So I'm hoping to go into more of that consulting aspect from a, more of my brand as Joey Lowery versus, maybe the Media Shark always being in the background.
Okay, very cool. So,
Yeah,
you said you like to speak.
I
Do you do
do.
public speaking?
Yeah. So actually, that same tour, how I met my buddy on, that got me here about 5 years ago. I'm currently a speaker with them, things like that. So
Oh wow.
yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I said, we still do all the cities, and whether it's a 30-minute or an hour talk, and I get asked a lot to speak at different events that are related more on the marketing side. But yeah,
Okay.
it's really fun, and I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's not just fun in aspect of like that I enjoy it, but it's really cool when you're bringing up slides, you're talking to somebody, and you just see these people taking notes, and you
Light
just
up.
know something that you've studied or you're bringing to the table is going to help them either thrive, and succeed.
So, have you ever thought about being a motivational, inspirational coach? I can see you doing that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's I do love Tony Robbins and a lot of their stuff. I
Yeah.
also and I'm sure this happens to you too. It's like you get this also bad taste in your mouth where
Mm,
you hear these people that are just that is, I don't know what you call it. It's like ringing a bell or hearing your alarm clock just go off so much you're just like, I just wish this would shut up. And so,
yeah,
you
I
know,
definitely know what you mean there.
Yeah. So there's
Oh
a
yeah.
yeah. I joked with my buddy one time. I was just like, dude, I think I'd be more better as a demotivational coach for some of these people because I'm just so tired of all the crap they're talking. So
I think there you go. I think you got something there.
there,
I
yeah.
love that. That's so cool. So, okay. So you have a podcast.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Not yet. We're hoping about maybe in March, maybe start this up officially. So just, I do a lot of experiments with a lot of different things on going viral. I've had a lot. I've had a few videos on TikTok from YouTube stuff that have gone very well. A lot of different accounts I like to test personally. Podcasting is kind of one of those things, as we were talking earlier. I think, you
Uh-huh.
really got to be committed to it. And there's just so many out there. So when you find I call it,
Oh yes.
your tribe or your niche, like, like yours, you double down on it and sometimes find yourself 2 years later, in it and enjoying it. And
Yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
I just want to make sure that I
No,
can keep that up.
I can see you doing it. I could definitely see you doing it. But I hear what you mean. Yeah, I definitely. If you're going to do it, you want to do it right. So,
Mhm.
and definitely that way. So what are some other things you're working on?
Yeah.
Maybe the
Oh, yeah, yeah. So a lot of things I like to do is like I like to build websites to test them. It's one of my favorite things as a
okay,
business.
okay,
And so what I'll do is every month I take some funds that I set aside and I'll actually build a separate website. Like I built solar company websites. And again, what I'll do is I'll just see
wow,
if I can generate leads from it. And then I'll typically reach out to a business that I either know are connected to or whatever. And I'll either sell it to them or we'll work out some deal. But I will say starting a business and being able to do that is a lot easier than people expect. And that thankful or whatever you call that blessing, YouTube
uh huh.
University can teach you a
Oh
lot
yeah, yep,
if you're willing to put, an hour, hour and a half a day, even while you're just doing random stuff. So,
yep.
yeah, I'd say one of the biggest things that what I try to do right now is just, can I build a website that I have no experience in, no background in, and can I get it to rank on Google? And then now all of a sudden I'm
Okay.
competing with, businesses that, really do that.
I think that is so awesome. I mean, that is very cool. So on the personal side, I
Mhm.
mean, we talked about speaking. What are some other writing a book? Would you ever write a book?
Yeah, so I actually just, so speaking of that, I just did a little experiment. You'll hear a lot about that on this. I was on a podcast. I'll start this, and I won't say who it is out of
Okay.
respect. I was on a
Okay.
podcast just recently, and at the end of it, which as you know happens, they're like, hey, really, thanks for being on here. We'd love for you to share it too. It's a great, fantastic. Like, would you ever consider writing a book? And I was like, I hadn't really crossed my mind honestly, and I got a lot of stuff with our current clients going on. So, do I have my personal time to do it? I don't know, and can't say I'm passionate
Uh
about
huh.
it. And the guy goes, well, we have a full course thing that will actually make sure that we guarantee you'll be a Amazon bestseller by the end of it, and we'll help you with
Wow.
everything. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I was like, yeah, if you don't mind, send me
Yeah.
some information on it. And I knew it was going to be expensive, and so I was like, and also I knew it was here comes the sales pitch, and
Yeah.
can't say I love
Oh
that, but
yeah.
he was a really good podcast, so I enjoyed talking to him. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's hear it. So anyway, so he sent me the information, and then what I realized was, they guarantee that in 72 hours they'll have you after you list your book, they'll have you as an Amazon bestseller, and then it would be I want to say,
Wow.
yeah, and that to me is a red flag. You know what I mean?
Me too. That's really fast.
Exactly. And that where I was like, that's strange. And so I was like, again, I love hacking stuff. So I'm like, I wonder what exactly they're doing. So then I start reading all their sales material because I know there's going to be other hints in it. And what
Mhm.
they're guaranteeing was you'll be ranked in one country for X amount of money. And I want to say it was like $4,000 for this. Now,
Wow.
for the listeners who don't know, this is a home run when you get on podcasts. Oh, podcasts, I'm sure, but like for speaking and a lot of opportunities that come as business owners, if you say, "Hey, I'm a Amazon bestseller,"
Yeah.
that's a
Right.
huge
Right.
opening line that can separate you from a lot
True.
of people. So you have to look at it
Definitely.
like I'm investing $5,000, let's say, just because that's going to be worth, 20 to 50,000,
Yeah.
regardless of other
Yeah.
people.
The ROI. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, 5,000, all right. And then they go, if you want to rank for multiple countries, two or more, it'd be about 7,000. And I could be butchering these numbers a little bit, but I
Sure.
was like,
I know what you mean.
all right, that's weird. But then they mentioned one thing that I thought was interesting. They go, during the first initial three days, you have to put your book at 99 cents. So I thought that's
Okay.
interesting. Oh, I thought that was interesting. So I was like, you know what? Let me click on some of their case studies. And so I did. And so
Right.
basically, and I won't say how they did it because I don't want to throw them under the bus or anything like that. Let's just say this.
Okay.
Um, the next day, so let's say we did actually podcast on a Sunday, believe it or not.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like on Monday, I put a couple meetings to the side because I was just so intrigued by this. I went to ChatGPT. I had it write me a book on how to write a book, and I named it "How Not to Write a Book." and I used Canva as the front cover.
Okay, Canva's good. Yeah.
Yep. And I figured out, and I actually hit it within, I think it was hour 37 as an Amazon bestseller. So on
Wow.
Tuesday morning, I was gonna say Tuesday or Wednesday morning, something like that. Yeah. So it is not a bestseller anymore at the moment. It's still probably ranked like 23rd or whatever in this certain
That's
category.
still awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, wow.
But I'm thinking
Oh
like in
gosh.
my mind, I'm like, not thinking why wouldn't I pay 5,000? Because I'm sure that what they're doing a little bit more than what I did, but I got the number one bestseller for a moment.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and they better do a lot more for you at 5,000. So, oh
so
wow,
yeah, if
that
you're
is
listening to
so.
this, just be careful if you're doing anything that either is super cheap or comes too quick. So
Yeah, it is definitely red flag, like you said. I mean, that just
yeah,
it usually it never fails to be something that you want to stay away from.
yeah.
So
So
you were going to
if
say
you are
something.
looking to buy a book, don't buy mine because it's written by AI. But on the reverse side, though, yeah, I actually eventually what I want to do is actually write a book called. I've actually thought about this a lot. It's called 10:45 a.m. And basically, it's how to
Okay.
basically 10K a month in 45 days or under, just working a few hours in the morning. So
Wow.
that's by doing something either by creating a separate small company, doing consulting, doing reselling a product or service, but basically walking you through how to build your website, how to run ads if you want to, how to do SEO, and basically how to reach out and kind of if you want to start your own marketing agency, great. There's a chapter for that.
Right. Right.
You sell a product, sure. Here's how to do it.
Wow.
Again, just more information out there based on the companies I've worked with. I see how they're winning and successful, and I'm like, man, a lot of people that what yeah, it's great to have an extra $10,000, be amazing,
Right.
but then what if you just took and did 20% of what I'm saying in this book? What if you could make an extra $2,000 more a month? What could that do for you in your life?
Oh, life changing.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, I love that. Talk about dream catching. It's so
Yeah.
appropriate because I mean that's because there's so many people that most people aren't catching your dreams. Most people are existing or sometimes living their nightmare. And
Mhm.
that's one reason why I started the Dreamcatcher podcast and Dreamcatcher period is that's such a win-win. I
Yeah.
mean, they could do it that fast in 2000. If you have almost nothing or you're in the hole, with debt and stuff, that would be definitely life changing. So
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, that is so, so cool.
Yeah.
And,
And
and so,
that's
go ahead.
it goes back to that thing is when you said, like where do you see yourself or where's business going? I think that's the key to business going back to it's not about the money, but it's about how you're helping others with your knowledge. And I think that's where
Amen.
the success truly comes in because the transparency part of it is, and we know this in business, is I have to spend money to make money. If I want to
Oh,
put $100 toward ads, I gotta, get traffic. I gotta spend money. Um,
yep,
Same
you
thing
do.
goes back in this aspect. It's like, hey, if I can take what I've seen with other businesses, let alone what I did on myself by myself to create this business, if I can put a book together about that, that actually is a solid book that makes sense and can help the average person go from zero to whatever. That could be a home run. And I know the return on however that looks, whether it's monetary or just the feel good aspect, is going to be there naturally. But
Yep, yep,
the truth is, I think it's a lot easier than people realize. But it takes a lot more knowledge than they realize, which that's the hard part to teach and have somebody absorb.
yep. Yeah, because it's all new to them. It's like the old saying is Greek to them. It really is Greek to them. Most people.
Mhm.
And I yeah, that's why. Do you ever do like masterminds or anything like that, or
I've been a part of a few, yeah. So
have you ever thought about doing one of your own?
I am thinking about doing one in maybe May or June this year. I don't know yet. The problem that I've also learned is that as exciting as a lot of things are to jump into that you want to do, the pocketbook or the funding to make it happen is always another mystery. So going from
Uh,
getting the venue and renting it out and finding speakers and let alone the audience aspect. There's I don't think it'd be as hard as I think it'd be, but I do think, do I want to drop the money to host it and figure out if it works or not? I don't know if I'm ready for that mental.
Not there yet.
I don't know
I
yet.
can tell you, I did my first one a year ago, a little over a year ago,
How'd you like
and
it?
I actually when it got to the day of, I loved it. But up
Yeah.
to that point, it is what it is because the venue I was after the third venue that was good, and then speakers coming and going. It's just like last minute.
Hmm.
And but it ended up being great. It was more intimate. It was more banter with the audience. It was great. I loved that part. And yeah, it was. I was beginning to wonder if I was ever going to like it, but yeah, that's where I became. Where it is what it is. It's going to be whatever it is on that day. But it was awesome. It was awesome. I really liked it. But
No, that's great.
but it just was not. It was not anything like I envisioned it. I can tell you that. Like anything you get into, until you get into it, you really don't know.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so I mean, and I'm doing actually going to do with Dreamcatcher. I'm doing a local one in Central Nebraska because everybody, I don't know if it was like that in Kansas City. Everybody thinks we're hicks out here, and no entrepreneurs out here at all. And it's just like, which there's a lot of entrepreneurial people around here,
Mm.
but nobody's meeting that they're not doing that. So I'm in the process of doing Central Nebraska Rocks because I have a friend in
I like that.
Charleston, South Carolina, and she just did one there, and I'm going to kind of work off what she did. So do you have anything to guide me towards that you would recommend dealing with newbies that would not know anything about that? I mean, when you have somebody come in, how do you approach that, if I may ask?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing, in my personal opinion, especially being a part of masterminds, because I get asked a lot to be a part of certain ones, and I'm
Uh-huh.
actually not one to usually monetize it personally. That's not my thing. I don't come in with an offer. Hey, you
Right.
got to spend X amount. The one thing that I
I'm that way
wish,
too.
yeah, and I think one of the things that I think, not to repeat that, one of the big home runs that I've seen one time do well, a conference did really well was they had a 60-day, roughly 45-day kind of challenge ahead of time. So that
Okay.
way, people when it came in, not even saying that they're already involved in something, starting it, the the course mastermind whatever already had a footing and a leg in where these people had already access to kind of a course whatever to help them with their business, and that way the classes were a little bit more hands-on rather than someone walking in saying where do I start, you know
Right. Right. I think that's good. I think it's really
and I
good.
really like that because again the speakers could speak. Like I speak a lot on SEO. Well, actually there's two
Okay.
topics. Well, it's how to rank on Google, and outrank competitors, and then the second one is how to steal away competitor traffic online. I speak a lot on those two topics. And the truth is, it's great when I can sit there in front of an audience that is running ads, or they put money toward SEO, or they have
Right.
some understanding.
Know a little bit of
But
them.
man, it's
Yep.
like, crickets when they're like, I don't even have a website.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
doesn't benefit me to talk to them yet sometimes, or it might be way over their head because they haven't dove into it. And you see a lot of
Right.
disconnect. And when that challenge kind of that they rolled out ahead of time, at first I really didn't know anything about it. I was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. But then I could see the level of intensity and level of acknowledgement and acknowledgement
Right.
come back as a speaker because you can see it, on stage.
Oh, yeah. I'm positive. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that,
You can just see that they're getting it, that it resonates with them. Yes. I mean,
Mhm.
definitely. Or that blank look and it's been interesting because I've been just putting it out to the area and people are interested in the area, that kind of thing because so many people are so far in debt or just barely making ends meet. So they're looking for another way to do something. And then they say they're too old. It's like, you're never too old.
yep.
Get that out of your mind. It
No,
is, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, and I think that's the first real breakdown. It's just, man, it's like, how do I get people involved from day one? When they walk in and they're just like, I'm thirsty for this information that you're going to present to me. Um,
Yep.
and the other thing too is like, I think as dumb as this kind of sounds too, I think getting some type of, awards or challenge or something going where people feel like,
I
there's
like
gonna
that.
be some type of whoever has the business they've grown the fastest in the last 6 months, who's had the best wins, who's
Right.
because people not I don't want to say they want to be awarded, but man, they feel so proud that and I'll say this, they feel so proud about the award they win, whether they
Right.
understand how they won it or not. But secondly, excuse me, he gives the conference the ability to have another brand aspect in that person's life. Like it's just one more touch that
True.
that person's going to see that you have. Like let's just say you make an award system, around. You said it was Central Nebraska Rocks.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, there's an
Yep.
award system around that, and as businesses clear, they're from 0 to 1 million or 0 to 6 figures. Is the top female entrepreneur, top male entrepreneur of the year, top couple.
Okay. Very
I think that
cool.
could be a really cool opportunity, especially
I
because that
think
brings
so
together
too.
community. Huh? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that information. I like that a lot. So, yeah, no, I mean, well, what do you think in Nebraska anyway? People don't have a very, I mean, for a while there, our state motto was nice. It's just like, how long did that take you to come up with? I mean,
Right.
it's just like, yeah, we are nice, but I think probably down in Florida, they're at least as nice, or Kansas, in Kansas City, Missouri, I guess is probably, was that where which side were you on? Kansas City,
I was on the Missouri side, 100%. I'll
Missouri
be,
side.
I'm,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean,
But go
I grew up going to Omaha, so I'm not completely unfamiliar by any means.
ahead. And if you go to Omaha, it's just like, it's just like, forget the name. It's a pretty all right city. I mean, it's
Mhm.
definitely growing a lot. I'm like Kansas City. All cities pretty much it. And but people have the preconceived of what it's going to be like, and a lot of times they do themselves a disservice on anything like this, or going to a city.
Yeah, no,
Okay, Joey,
absolutely.
go ahead.
Oh no, I said yeah, absolutely.
So okay, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, you weren't going to work at SeaWorld, what would be something? What would be your next thing that you would do?
I wasn't working at SeaWorld. You know, I'm a real, and this is actually going to go into a little depth here. So my dad
Okay.
actually served 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. So
Oh,
he was on the
wow,
board. Well, he's currently on the board of the Innocence Project, and so he served. You
cool.
can look him up, Eddie Lowery. You can Google Innocence Project. But I'd probably get involved with them, if I really could. They great organization. Like I said, they helped my dad. He spent 10 years in prison. He ended up
Wow,
getting out based off behavior, and then later, about 10 years later after that, end up being able to find his evidence, get it proven innocent. And I mean, that's was it? I want to say it was NBC did like a hour or 2 day special on him. One this was years and years ago.
really?
Yep.
Okay,
He's one of the top cases for false confessions. And again, it's a lot. It goes. There's a lot more in depth, a
wow,
lot more details than just him saying that he did it or didn't. There's a lot more details and aspects of the hours he was held, being denied a lawyer, a lot of things, hung jury. The organization's
wow.
amazing, and my dad's a part of a band now that has shoot, I would say 5 gentlemen, I believe they all equal over 100 years in prison, and so
Oh
the
my gosh.
organization is something that, well, that organization specifically, and is something I have a really big passion for, especially not just saying
I can.
because my dad, was exonerated because of them, and
Right, right.
through the work, but just meeting these guys and meeting these women who, have been wrongfully convicted and just seeing how much they've changed their life, not changed their life, but have used their lives to help change, others and laws and, just things that we take for granted sometimes that they've now
Right.
experienced the hell of that. And they're trying to make it better for, people moving forward.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so cool. And that is wow. So have you ever thought about doing a nonprofit, starting your own nonprofit or something, an organization?
I did. So I have a lot of ideas too. So I
Hey,
did.
ideas are good.
Yeah, I did. But the problem is, it's like, and this is what I've learned now. And again, I'm still on the younger side. I'm 32, and the
Okay.
truth is, it's you can only do so much. And I've gotten stressed.
True.
I've seen ideas tank. I think a lot of great things, is that, hey, I'm gonna have an idea and partner with somebody quickly. It's probably been my best advice to my other friends. And now I have to sometimes take it too because I wanted to kind of create a feed St. Pete type organization here in St. Petersburg. And actually, I want to do it during COVID
Cool.
because I was hoping to get businesses to either donate money or donate meals, and then we would, use the money to either help local businesses to provide the meals, or even like food trucks, and then use those meals
Nice.
obviously for struggling families and also anybody who really needed it during COVID. That way we could kind of get that full circle of business money being spent and helping the businesses stay open, or at least
Yeah.
keeping them open, and then also
Right.
making sure that people could get the food they needed too. But
Wow. That is
it
so awesome.
yeah, I wanted to do it. It's just one of those things where it's just I had some group of friends that were going to partner with me, and then they're not saying anything negative about someone being a lot older than you, but everybody has their what their next step in life looks like, and
Sure.
for them, this was more about a business opportunity and how they could leverage the business. For me, I really thought this was just a great way to give back, and I know the marketing and the
Yeah.
business aspect of digital,
Right.
and we just,
Yeah.
let's just say we didn't connect and align, which that's one of the biggest flags I think was, because we weren't so our passion, let's say, as a group was not, hey, how do we feed St. Pete in our local community? It was, hey, how do we feed St. Pete? Oh, also, how do we make this into a full-time job? How do we get, all these things? It's
Mm,
like the vision of what it could have
yeah.
been was not,
Yeah. They lost their vision definitely on that.
yeah.
So
And
are
they're
there a
probably,
lot of homeless? Go
yeah, they're
ahead.
probably great people, but I just associated with them about 2 years ago. But that's a nonprofit. I wish, maybe it'll come down the road one day.
Yeah. Are there a lot of homeless people in St. Pete?
I think there's a lot. I can't say yes because I've lived in Phoenix. I've seen Kansas City. I mean, St. Pete's not a big spot on the map. We have a lot of. I mean, Florida has a lot of great weather. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
I can say it's just, and every little town's different, but I wouldn't say it's anything crazy. But I think when you look at sometimes income and the ability to feed families in lower income situations, that was really the goal. It wasn't just focused on homeless, but just, families, moms and dads and things like that that were just struggling.
That's so. Is it? I thinking of San Diego. Is it really expensive to rent or have a house in St. Pete?
I would say so, yeah. Again,
Okay.
coming from the West Coast, like Phoenix, and my family's in LA, I wouldn't say we're as quite as pricey as they are, but I mean, I
Hmm.
miss the Midwest. I will say that for what you can get,
A lot. Yes.
yes.
Well,
And
it's just like people are moving back here from California to Nebraska, and it's like, yeah, you can get a lot, but it's not California. So didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you gonna say?
yeah, no, I think, and that's the thing too. It's like, I've seen it out here is that, like going back to the aspect of what you kind of mentioned earlier, it's like, are you stagnant? Are you improving? Are you declining? And I don't believe we're ever stagnant. I think you're either increasing or you're let's say dropping or decreasing at a level that you just don't acknowledge it yet. But you're never,
Hmm.
there's no such thing as,
Yep. Yeah, just
maintaining,
staying.
in
Yeah.
my opinion. So I think
No.
there's a lot of people here that are maintaining, we'll call it, or decreasing at a slow rate, that they were not increasing. And so then all of a sudden, this California money, this New York money came in, and cash offers and
Mm,
all this
I
stuff, all
bet.
this started happening. And I've even seen it too. I mean, from renting and stuff like that, and then the housing market has just completely changed. But it is making its reversal, good or bad. You
Is
know,
it?
I think
Okay.
so. But I also think, there's a lot of mistakes that we made in, the sales side of things, where I've seen a lot of friends become real estate agents because there's a gold rush in Florida to real estate because of
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
the pandemic and just the money, the available money with people coming in. That the properties now are not moving at all, or moving as much as they were, let alone the price has been having to drop. So it's going to be an interesting thing, I think, out here for us when it comes down to what the housing market and what the opportunity
Yeah.
is. So
No, I know. I actually ran into a realtor when I was in Clearwater in January, and yeah, she had all these things she wanted. She's like, "Oh, it's not that bad." It's like you're talking to me from Nebraska here, so
I
but
will I will say, like, it was crazy because when our business, and I mean, I was very blessed, our business did our first million of our first year, and this was right during the pandemic. And I will say, it had nothing to do with the aspect of we got lucky. I busted my ass for this company and built this what I have. But on the
hmm
reverse side, we there was some aspects of blessing slash luck that was applied because, or we was obtained because of the hard work, I believe. But
Yep, yep,
I was thinking, like, man, what I could get with what I'm getting here in Kansas City, let alone, in Nebraska. And I have
yep,
family
yep.
that's in Kearney, Missouri. I got family down in Springfield and right on the Arkansas Missouri border. So I understand rural, and I definitely understand,
Yeah,
country and
it's
the cattling aspect.
so much different. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm talking to my grandpa about what we're doing, and he's like, "You're doing what? You know what you could get out here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, yeah,
yeah.
well, you couldn't buy a grain of sand with that out here." But
No, and especially Clearwater. I love the sand there. That white sand is so beautiful there. So,
mhm.
but no, I mean, right here, my wife and I have 5 acres and two-story house and everything, and it's just like, wow, if this house were and that land were someplace else. But but it is, and I like it because I like being out. Kind of, I like the city, but I like to not be in the city too. So, and
Yeah,
just
I definitely, I'm definitely in this situation of, if do I know if I want to stay here in the next 10 years? I don't know. I think that'll be interesting, but I definitely miss the aspect of having some room. And and the other thing too is, like, the one thing I love about the Midwest, and I'd say I'm still a Midwest boy when it comes down to it, especially at heart,
hmm
the
hmm
people. When
yeah,
you go out to LA, and not knocking it at all. I got clients, family, friends out there. It's a different environment with different people, and
definitely.
politically, whether good or bad on both sides, there's a
Yep.
lot of different things, and there's something about the Midwest that the people are just great people.
They are. They truly do. They are, like we were talking, nice, but
Mm.
friendly. They're just friendly. They will help you out. I mean, it was a few years ago we had an ice storm here, and we were without power for almost 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
everybody just came together, and that it's awesome. I mean,
Oh
my
yeah.
neighbors are quite a ways away, but I know my neighbors at least here. Which is something
Yeah.
I don't in the city you might, but maybe not either. So
No, and
so
the relativity of what a city is so different, because I
mhm.
mean, I go from
Oh
Kansas City
yeah,
to Phoenix, and I'm like, wow, this is night and day different. Let alone I'm in the desert from Missouri. And
yeah,
then I go to LA, and I'm like, this is a monster of a city, let alone
it
New York.
is.
So, and then I'm
Yep.
in Florida and I'm like, St. Pete, I hear people talk about, they're like, St. Pete's so big, Clearwater. I'm like, oh man, like it's not, But the
Nice
crazy thing,
size.
yeah, and the fun size, yeah. The crazy thing about, where we're at is, you really can't expand out. So it's either gonna drive the prices up, which it already is, or you're gonna see, a different area kind of pop off rather than, maybe St.
Yep.
Pete and that area. But it's definitely
No.
there's definitely good and bad.
Yeah, there is, just like everything. So Joe, anything else before we end the podcast that you would like the audience to know?
Shoot. No, I don't think so. Yeah. If you ever have questions on marketing and not pitching, if you just have questions with your business or how to get started, shoot me an email. It's just joey@gomediashark.com. And if anything, get on
Okay.
Instagram, shoot me a message. I'm that marketing guy. Whether you have questions on how to start it, running into problems, especially when it comes to running ads, you got to pay to play, but you can definitely call it highway marketing where you're just throwing money out the window and not sure what you're doing. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
no,
help.
I know what you mean there too. So, well, Joe, thanks for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe have you back on a follow up, and I would love to be if I would be a right guest for your podcast. I would love to be a guest sometime down the line if that would be
Absolutely. I'd
something that
love
would
that.
work too. So I'll plan on that and look forward to that. And like I said, thanks again for taking some of your Sunday, and have a good rest of your day. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Mark.